Hello internet, it's your boy MC Gingerbread back at it with another video. I know it's been a while since my last one, sorry about that. I was working on real life finances and stuff, but now I'm back and I'm ready to scream into the void that is the gaming industry. And I want to talk about everything that's been going badly with it. And man, there's some stuff going badly with it. I have a bunch of stories to talk about, but without further delay, let's go ahead and get right into it. But first, a word from our sponsors.
This is where I'd put it.
Sponsor.
If I had one!
So let's start off by talking about the gigantic elephant-sized flop in the news. You mean me? No, we're not talking about you, Borderlands movie. Go away. Aw, okay. I am, of course, talking about Concord, the game that was sent out to die a horrendous death by Sony Studios. This game's death was foreseen since its open beta was shown to have such abysmal numbers that even the players that enjoyed it were wondering why they thought it was a good idea to charge money for this game that seemingly didn't really have an identity of its own. Once it launched, it had the worst concurrent player numbers of any game in the AAA market has ever seen. Gollum had more concurrent players in it. Gollum, that god-awful game, it's just sad. The worst part about it is that the game wasn't even that bad. It was just so unbelievably generic that no one really cared to play it, let alone pay $40 for a game that was just a carbon copy of so many other games that came before it that already exist, are free, and have a already established player base. Like, I don't know what Sony was thinking. The writing was on the wall for this one, and they just pushed forward with it anyway, not even lasting 2 weeks before Sony unceremoniously killed it in front of everyone. And issued refunds for it, which is cool, because Sony's very bad at refunds. Personally, I feel really bad for the devs that spent reportedly about 8 years in development on this game just for it to be used as seemingly a tax write-off for Sony. The game had some gorgeous cutscenes, and the devs seemed to put a lot of effort into them and had this whole narrative ready to go, but no one really seemed to care. Honestly, it probably could still live as a free-to-play game, but it's just not created to be monetized like that, and so they just opted to kill it instead. I've seen some flops in the gaming market, but this has to take the cake as the fastest death of a video game ever in the AAA sector. 2 weeks? Rough. Another sad story about corporate stupidity is Visions of Mana. If you haven't heard of it, it's the newest entry in the Mana series that hasn't seen an actual new game in the franchise in over 10 years. It's had plenty of remakes and remasters, but this was the first truly new game in the series in a while, and it was released on August 29th to decent praise. Some claimed it was a little too generic and basic, but many seemed to like it, even receiving an 8 out of 10 on IGN. But no more than a day after that game was released, the company was shut down. NetEase, seemingly startled by how well Black Myth Wukong did, they decided to shut down a lot of their Japanese-based studios and look for more companies to invest with that are local to their home country of China. And as much as that makes sense for a company to want to emulate the Black Myth Wukong success, as it has become like one of the biggest games ever, topping even the likes of Cyberpunk 2077 and Counter-Strike as one of the biggest concurrent player bases on Steam, especially being single player, I understand that they want to emulate that. I still just don't think it was very smart to kill a company that made you a game that sold decent numbers. Every corporation is just chasing that one big hit and isn't willing to spend money on niche titles of the more indie scene, and that's just sad to me. Even though I know that Black Myth Wukong is good, I can't say that I always want games like that. Gaming is supposed to have a variety. That's how we reach more gamers and tell more varied stories. Not everything has to be a huge, monumental game with flashy graphics and a blockbuster-esque story. Sometimes us gamers just want comfort food games, and that's fine. It's just sad to see all companies chasing the bag rather than actually trying to tell varied stories with a variety of different game types. Another even sadder story for me personally revolves around Risk of Rain 2, a game that I absolutely adore. I have upwards of 200 plus hours into this game, and I was eagerly awaiting the next DLC content as it was announced some time ago. Well, it was shadow dropped on August 27th, and as of right now, it is sitting at mostly negative with a 21% positive ratio, which is bad. The game is horribly buggy thanks to a glitch having tied almost everything to the frame rate, which makes the game practically unplayable. The survivors don't really feel that good, as most of them have some like weird gimmicks to them that make their kit very bad and not viable, especially in the later half of the game. All the new items are not very fun or interesting, and they don't really change enough to make them cool, and even one of the worst lunar items in-game was added with this DLC. They did make it so you can earn skins for every character with in-game playing with this DLC, which is cool, but overall it's just a worse DLC than Survivors of the Void, which was cheaper and didn't break the game on day one like this did. It doesn't help that this is the first DLC to be launched exclusively by Gearbox Studios since the original Hoppo games sold the rights and has now been enveloped into Valve, which is just weird, but Gearbox just has not been having a good time. Was it because of me? No, it is not because of you. It's because of the really bad DLC. Oh, okay. Wait. Yes, it's also because of you. Really? Do you mean it? Yes. Now go away. God, you suck. Ugh. Randy Pitchford, you're welcome. I talked about your movie. So, I don't know, sing me a song or something.
Nobody likes talk.
I'm just kidding. Don't. Ew. Gross. And at last but not least, we have to talk about Star Wars Outlaws, the first open-world Star Wars game. Besides, Knights of the Old Republic and Star Wars Galaxies, Knights of the Old Republic 2, Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga, but you get my point. The game has finally been released, and to much of my surprise, it was not received well. It wasn't an absolute shit show like what I was expecting, but it isn't anything to write home about either. The worlds themselves in the game feel really good. Like, as a Star Wars fan, it was a delight to see this game, and all the worlds and places that you see feel very lived in, which is cool, and there's plenty to do. The game isn't covered in a collectathon objective markers like a lot of the Ubisoft games as of late, and there's plenty of cool mechanics in the game, like how you can listen to people's conversations and learn new stuff about the world, and then you have to actually find them instead of just mindlessly following map markers. But sadly, this is where the praises end, as once you set out to find these places, that's where the gameplay comes in hand, and it's just not good. 90% of the game is stealth-based, and it is the most generic stealth-based gameplay I've ever seen as the main focus of the game. And you aren't playing as some, overpowered Jedi or a cool Mandalorian. You're just some chick with, some of the worst facial animations in any recent game to come out since Mass Effect Andromeda.
What's an off-worlder like you doing here?
I'm looking for Silo Rovac.
Why? You Empire?
There are multiple missions where if you get spotted, the mission immediately ends. And it gives you very little options on how to approach these scenarios other than crouch behind a box and then walk up behind someone and press square and knock them out. That is literally all you can do. There's one gun in the game, the whole game. One gun. Everything else is just a pickup that you can't even carry if you climb up a ladder, which just feels so old school. It just feels like they really thought of these cool worlds and then dropped it into this old-ass Xbox 360 gameplay, complete with horrific facial animations. But I didn't have high hopes for this game, but I did really want it to be good, as it's the closest thing that we're going to get to Star Wars 13 for a long time. And if you don't remember what Star Wars 1313 was, it was a game that was supposed to be a gritty underworld take of the Star Wars universe, but it was canceled by Disney once it got bought by Disney in 2012. And I was just, I want something like that. I want a cool, non-Jedi Star Wars story, and it just seems like we're never going to get it at this point. But I guess maybe we'll have to wait another 12 years to see if we can get another crack at it. But All in all, it seems like the gaming industry as a whole is having some hard times right now, and I just hope things take a more positive turn, as if things keep going this way, the corporatization of the gaming industry is going to kill every unique thought in games and just produce more generic, trend-chasing slop until we're all sick of it and we just, like, I don't know, go outside and touch grass or something, which just sounds awful. Ew, get it away. I like my escapism. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, let me know what you think in the comments down below, and of course, please make sure to like and subscribe. Thanks, guys. Hope you have a good day. Peace.